Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Success podcast. Today we're here with Ryan Falconer. Thank you so much for joining us. Just before we start, I want to say a big thank you to South Bay Yacht Charters here in Port News. They have some beautiful yachts, so they've allowed us to be here and do this interview here today. So Ryan, could you please tell us, for those that don't know, a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Ryan from Edinburgh, Scotland. I've been living in Marbella for the last 5 years. I've really had a startup tech career, working with early stage and late stage startups. My claim to fame was working with a company called Canva.
Wow.
I've very luckily got an opportunity to work with the founders, Melanie and Cliff, at the early stage in Sydney 13 years ago. Small office, 10 of us, working very hard, 15-hour days, 7 days a week just to launch it. We eventually launched it and we celebrated in style, as you can imagine. 13 years later, I had no idea it would be the valuation it is today, which is 42 billion. And of course, the founders being billionaires now. But that aside, I've been very fortunate enough to have quite a successful tech career, working with, as I said, a number of startups. And big names would, of course, include, Bullhorn, SAP, Meta, as well as a number of early stage startups you might have not heard of. But they've went on to raise funding and do incredibly well in the marketplace.
Wow, amazing.
So following up from that, Ryan, how did you initially get into the tech industry to begin with?
Great question. Well, I started off a web designer back in the day, when you use Photoshop and Dreamweaver to make websites. And moving on from that, I quickly realised I had more skills than just, web design. I was actually doing business development on the side for the actual agency I was working for.
Yeah.
So I was giving the salesperson more leads than they were generating. So I'm thinking, really, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. It just seems to be that technology and web design was an area of interest. And my first startup, I actually hired my lecturers from university to create, training DVDs, which I took to market on Amazon. But yeah, so that was really my dive into the tech scene 20 years ago.
Yeah. So you literally you said you hired from university, your teachers essentially. Yeah. What made you do that? I've never heard that before, really. That's incredible. How come you thought to do that? Yeah,
it's a great question. I realised there was a gap in the market for, Adobe training material. Everyone was trying to learn, Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Flash and the Adobe Suite by manual and by reading, literally a 500-page manual. And that was just too cumbersome for students to learn, They needed to learn actually in real time in the classroom or through video training. That was at a stage where lynda.com just came around in the American market. Okay. And there was a gap in the UK market for a UK version. So I decided to create, tutorials created by my lecturers at university. I commissioned them to do screen recording content, and I packaged them in software, which is a form of a DVD ROM back in the day. Yeah. And we even had, distribution with Apple and Adobe, and managed to get into the educational institutes.
How did you initially get into working with Canva?
Yeah, I was very lucky. I seen an advert on Gumtree for a web designer and a bit of a hustler who can help an early stage startup go from 0 to 1. That involved, doing website design, content creation, content curation, and really helping the founders with the day-to-day grunt work that they didn't really want to do. So I was pretty much, Cliff's right-hand man sitting right beside him. And across the table, there was Cameron, who was a product guy. Mm-hmm. And in front of me was a young graduate marketing professional who subsequently went on to the CMO title. Okay. So yeah, Melanie was out in San Francisco raising capital. Cliff was sitting beside me doing sales and commercial activity. Cameron was working product, and I was just helping out with the day-to-day and, a mix of everything, but mainly product.
Nice.
Okay. Amazing. And how does it feel like now, knowing that you were a part of that team and seeing how big Canva has grown to now?
It's incredible. I mean, to think that Cliff was cooking me breakfast and lunch every day.
Wow. Yeah.
For weeks on end, and the whole team. It just shows it's all about community for Canva. They generally care about their people. Yeah. And to this very day, they really put their people first and centre. Okay. So that's really carried into my career, if you like. So I like to, give back to young professionals and pass on my learnings, do some mentoring for free just to help out where I can. Nice. So, it was incredibly humbling to be part of such an early team and such an exceptional team, because we're all Google engineers coming from Facebook, Google, really the top tier tech companies, and to be part of a team of 10 from the ground up to actually be there to launch it. It's just next level,
Yeah. No, it is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want to ask another thing as well. Like, obviously, you're saying that that's helped you now become like humble, and I'm interested in how there's a lot of people that will see a lot of success, right? Especially with a company this big, and they kind of go out there and they're not really humble. But how come you stayed so humble? I guess it's an amazing thing, right? What made you stay so humble after even like working with Canva or a company like that?
It really stems from the founders who are very humble themselves. You know, they would joke that I was buying, $1 coffees every day instead of going to the bakery and trying to get premium coffee. And we're very much a bootstrap company early on. As I said, Melanie was out raising VC investment, and I think she was rejected 100 times to just get the one yes in terms of investment.
Okay.
Looking back now, they must be strangling themselves, the investors. But I managed to stay quite humble because that was the ethos of the company, so to speak. The founders were very humble themselves.
Yeah.
And coming from Scotland, I like to think we're quite humble and grounded people, quite modest. We're not too flashy. I don't know too many people in Scotland running around in Lambos and Ferraris and wearing Rolexes. It's just not really our style. Kudos to those that do, but it's just, I'm not a materialistic person in the slightest. I share the same values as Melanie and Cliff.
Nice. Hey, can I just touch on, you just said that, you was living in Edinburgh. What made you take the move from Edinburgh to Marbella?
Believe it or not, it was actually a body transformation. I was actually in bad shape. I was working 15-hour days from a little office in Leith, Edinburgh. One-man office. And I looked in the mirror one time and I seen literally a beer belly. And I was living off KFC, Starbucks, Greggs, deliveries every day during lockdown. And I thought, this has got to stop. I need to put myself first.
Yeah.
So, I just came across a company called Ultimate Performance Online, who are a global fitness franchise. They hook you up with a personal trainer in person, and you go on a 12-week body transformation. And I went from skinny fat to abs within 12 weeks. And it was actually the transformation of the year. I got congratulated. Wow. There's a fabulous guy called Nick Mitchell, who's a fantastic businessman from England, who set up Ultimate Performance. So I've went through quite a few in the journey. But I continue on my fitness quest and...
Yeah, so you moved here to basically get in better shape.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really interesting because when you think of Marbella, obviously fitness in Spain is very prominent, right? There's a lot of people, you see people running, you see people doing stuff. But when people, let's say, come on holiday to Marbella, a lot of the time they come to eat loads of food and to drink and to get drunk and stuff. So you actually kind of came for the opposite reason, which is really interesting. Yeah.
Precisely. What I would say, it's quite difficult to be here as a tech professional and just focused at your computer because, as you know, it's an outdoor lifestyle. Where I live in San Pedro, there's coffee shops, there's bars, there's the beach 10 minutes away, there's beach clubs. Distraction is everywhere in this place, so you have to be really focused and incredibly disciplined. So much so I actually hired a mind doctor to try and help me overcome those addictions. But really the distraction from social media and from the crazy activity you see on the streets and the beach clubs.
I think it's important to, if you want to come to Marbella and work, it is important to try and avoid all these kind of addictions because there's always something at your fingertips, right? You can leave, you can go out, you can go to a nightclub, you can go to these fancy restaurants, you can get drunk, you can, there's lots of stuff here in Marbella. But it's important that if you want to work here in Marbella, you've got to almost really be quite disciplined because if not, then it can kind of get you, right? Like it kind of grab you and sometimes it doesn't take a positive effect.
I believe that Marbella's broke more people than it's made.
Yeah.
A lot of, wealthy chaps or wealthy people have came over here that, done well in their previous career, came over here, they've blown all their money and spent money in beach clubs and pool parties and the material things that really are not values led, so to speak.
Yeah. And was it your fitness journey that led you to meeting Rob Lipser? Was that...
Yeah, very much so. I seen Rob Lipser in the gym a few times. I was too shy to let on. There's actually a guy called Mike Thurston that's in the gym quite a lot as well.
Yeah, I've seen him.
But I met Rob Lipser in the gym. I also was at the first run club, believe it or not.
Really?
There were only 7 of us.
Wow.
So it was almost like a startup journey in itself.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, working on the logo, setting up the social media page. So I've seen the run club go from day one to the current day, which is maybe 2 years on.
Yeah.
And I've went to all the parties as well. So very much part of the community as well as just the run club. And Rob's a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now the Run Club's huge. Like, so from going from, I guess it's kind of a similar story to Canva, right? Like, you were there when it first started up, and now it's absolutely massive. Same with the Run Club. You showed up there, it was just 7 people, and now you see like there's hundreds of people. It's, yeah.
The funny thing is, I've got a before and after picture. So there were 7 of us at Cappuccino bar.
We heard,
we
spoke exactly about this to Rob on the podcast we did with him as well.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. So we've got that picture. So I just proof there. And, 2 years on, there's literally hundreds of us, and we can't even all fit into one picture.
Wow.
So yeah, it's quite an incredible story, and kudos to Blaz and for Rob for setting it up and doing so well. But more so for the community, to bring people together for the right reasons, not for the parties, not for drinking, not for the other distractions, for the actual.
Yeah. I think as well, Rob was saying to us that he did it purposely on a Sunday, because those that are going out on a Saturday night will have to kind of hold themselves back a little bit and think, oh, I got to wake up early and do this Run Club. So it comes back to what we were talking about. That's something that's kind of helping people stay focused, keeping fit, and as well, like discipline, waking up early, going to a Run Club, meeting a big community of people. I think it's important to have the right people around you. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, all these people are really high performers in their own right. A lot of them digital nomads, working in e-commerce, tech, recruitment, fitness. And moving aside from, real estate agents, which is obviously dominant in this area. So there's really a mixed collective across all sectors. And a lot of people there are independent. So bringing these people together really creates a real vibrant and nice energy.
Yeah. Going off of that, I know that, as we spoke about actually when we was walking up to the yacht, being as part of a team, you have people that can motivate you. And obviously when you was working for Canva, you had people around you that, again, you could motivate each other. But how is it now being your own business owner and having to do everything yourself, motivate yourself, even if you're not feeling it? How is that compared to working as part of a team?
It's incredibly hard. To give you some context, I'm working on a new startup in the AI space. We're ready to launch it next week. I've already signed up my first customers. I've been speaking to investors, and we've been talking to a tech accelerator in Malaga about partnering up, and also the pool here in Marbella. But I feel that I'm doing 3 jobs myself. From doing the web design to the logo design to the executive summary, the business plan, to meeting prospective customers, to setting up an office, to recruiting talent, to building a dream team. I'm looking to recruit 20 people by the end of the year, which is quite an ambitious goal.
That is, yeah.
So I'm trying to find the right office to facilitate that growth. Hence why I probably need to move to Malaga, because there's more talent there in terms of, design, digital marketing and development, and even AI talent.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to put a pool of talent together. It's really just a case of, pulling together the bootstrap funds to now go ahead and hire.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah. And so what you're doing now then is this is completely new. And how long have you had this sort of in mind for? Has it been something you've been planning, or is this just?
Yeah, so very much so. I've helped a lot of founders over the years with their own startups from early stage to later stage, helping them find product market fit, take a product to market, or commercialize their existing product in the marketplace. So it's always been an itch to go and do my own thing, because you can only help people so long without having that burning desire to have a go again. Inspired by, of course, the Canva story, and from my early stage startup I was involved in, which went on to real greatness in America. It's an in-app advertising company. My co-founders, who I left behind, went across to San Francisco, raised money from Google Ventures, and actually exited that business for $780 million. So, to think that they retired before they were 30, one lives in Hawaii, the other lives in San Francisco, and now they're giving back, and they're obviously back-end founders. So inspired by both the Canva story and my ex-co-founder story, it makes sense for me to have a go now.
Yeah.
When I've still got this energy, and I'm still on a high, and I'm still going through this fitness journey.
Yeah.
I feel like it's now or never.
Yeah, I feel like as well, because you've seen so much success in companies that you've worked with, you almost want to make it yourself, right? You want to be like, I want to do this myself and have my own company like this.
Exactly, because I'll never really be truly valued as a consultant, because I feel like I can offer so much more value than just design, development expertise or product expertise. I've helped companies go from idea to MVP or product to commercial traction to writing a business pitch decks, raising millions investment. I've not just done design or development work.
Yeah.
I've done so much more. So it makes sense to leverage that knowledge as a founder to best effect. And it's only really recently I've actually started to believe in myself again, meeting so many ballers, dare I say it, out here in Marbella who have actually retired, who have had, multi-million pound exits in the startup space. They're saying to me, Ryan, you're no better or no worse than us. And I quickly realised that just by going to the Marbella Mastermind, which was ironically run by Rod Lipsett and a chap called Adam Power, that the speakers on stage, incredibly smart guys and women, but they were just hard workers. They persisted, they worked hard, and they really inspired me to go for it again.
Yeah. And that is the biggest message that we get given when we're doing these podcasts or these interviews is never give up. Because clearly a lot of people have the knowledge, they have the expertise, but a lot of them don't have the mindset. And most people we speak to do say that mindset is the most important thing. Clearly you have the experience and the expertise, but you're right in the fact that it is about believing in yourself and having the motivation. And if you have that, then you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. And I believe I do have a growth mindset as well, which helps. And that comes through the fitness and well-being journey. And being around inspirational guys like Rob Lipsett every day, it can only motivate you. That energy is just infectious. You've seen him in person, you've seen him online. It's exactly the same, so it's incredibly exciting times. And I thank my gym rat Natalia for clapping those days in the gym. She's inspired me to have a go and really believe in myself again. So thank you, Natalia.
I think I want to ask you, obviously you've got so much experience in kind of all this growth and stuff. What is your best piece of advice that you would give to somebody our age or someone that's trying to start up their own business?
I'd say first up, believe in yourself. You're capable. You're more than capable. I mean, I've seen Cliff. Cliff has no interest in technology, believe it or not. He hates using computers. He's a salesman through and through. He just wants to meet customers, live a great culture within Canva and be very much values-led. He really does care about his staff and his people and the wider community and his customers to a great extent. Very much a people person. So, I believe we've all got that raw quality inside of us, and I see that inside you. So first up, believe in yourself, go for it, and obviously do your market research, validate that by doing primary, secondary research, speaking to the market, making sure you've got product market fit before you launch, and validating that by, gathering that market insight and intelligence and speaking to people that are maybe further ahead than you, even just 2 or 3 steps. They don't even have to be an exit stage. They could just be, 1 or 2 years ahead of you. And just by following your path and following their advice, that'll supercharge you in your career. You'll go from A to B faster under their guidance within a month than a year yourselves.
That's an interesting point, actually. One that no one's really said, but it's true. If you have the right people that you're following and it can give you the ideas, if they're doing something, why aren't we doing that?
Precisely.
I guess it's having like a mentor as well, right? Like somebody that like yourself, for example, that has already done it and then helping younger people or new business owners. I think it's important to have someone that can actually guide you through that. Because if you've already been through that entire process, somebody that hasn't will really benefit from something like that, really.
Precisely. I've been very fortunate enough to attract young people in the streets of San Pedro and Marbella, and even at the pool, which is a co-working space in Marbella. Came across a girl called Shay, who's went on to great things. She was an early stage founder, and she's now the CEO of a young leaders organisation in Marbella.
Nice.
So to see her journey over the period of a year, just by giving free advice and mentorship, because I could see potential in her. I could see her being a young Melanie Perkins, and I genuinely believe she's got the capability to do so. I genuinely believe by 30, she's made.
Yeah. That's incredible as well, because that's so young. Like most people don't even start owning a business or they've tried different businesses, but most people don't even start having a successful business until they're maybe like 40 or 50. I think the average age to like make your first million or something is like, I don't even know, like 40 or 50. So these young people now, I'm seeing a lot more young people like ourselves and like other young entrepreneurs that are actually starting to create their own businesses. Whereas I feel like before it wasn't as popular. I feel like now people around our age are also starting to go out there and create more businesses.
What you've got is now is you've also got AI, which came into play, which is a superpower for you young people to really get ahead and to outpace the older folks like myself by using Claude, ChatGPT and the AI tools available to best effect. I mean, you've essentially got a business partner beside you or a mentor beside you just by using and utilising the tools. So I really encourage you to use the tools to best effect. It was actually Shay that encouraged me to start using Claude. I didn't want to replace my brain with Claude, but I ended up doing so in the process. So yeah, I use it myself, but mainly for, correcting my grammar mistakes as opposed to market research.
I was going to ask if you perhaps used it now for website design. I know you said you're building a website, and a lot of people are using Claude now to build websites, like at least the frameworks.
I tried doing my first pass on Claude. It wasn't very good. It was maybe a 5 out of 10 design. Then I used a site called Lovable.
I know Lovable, I
literally created the website or landing page within 5 minutes, and it's beautiful. It's got my brand on it. It's got the color palette, well designed with aesthetics, quotes, testimonials, and it's ready to go. I'm actually just waiting for my developer to push it live today.
A lot of people are using Lovable mixed with what's it called, Google Anti-Gravity. That is a superpower, because when you've made the framework on Lovable, you have Google Anti-Gravity, and it has loads of different AIs like ChatGPT, Claude Sonnet, etc., to just make final tweaks and push it. So, things can be done in, a few minutes these days, rather than a website that would normally take, weeks.
Exactly. Normally it take 7 years to build a technology company. Now you can do it within a year. There's even talk now that billion-dollar tech companies are created within a year with one person at the helm, which is incredible. Namely out in San Francisco, but what's to say we can't do it?
Exactly.
It's so true. Like, if you think, like you just said there, anyone can just start, and if they do the right research and they have the right skills, anyone can create their own successful business, right? I guess it's just knowing how to do your market research, like you say, and just scale it. I think that's as well why a lot of people young people are now starting to create their own businesses, because before, let's say, I don't know, I obviously wasn't around like the 1990s or something, but you couldn't just hop on a computer and start a business. Like, it didn't really work like that. You would have had to have a whole team, especially with an online business. You would have had to have a whole team, professionals in each certain sector, which obviously you'd hire in the future if you would start one now. But now you can do it with yourself. Like, I could right now probably come up with a business idea, use obviously Claude or AI, and you can scale your own business now just with AI, which is incredible, really.
That's right. I mean, I've got like 6 mentors on Claude, Dan Martell, Alex Amosi, and a few others in the SaaS space, Aaron Levy being one, and Dave's Trainer. So I actually look at, Claude, extract their key insights. What would Dave's Trainer say to this business plan? What changes would he make? What is his critique? And that gives you a kind of real viewpoint with actually speaking to this. So you can leverage it not just as a superpower for yourself, but you can actually create a wider team of peers and mentors by using Claude to best effect across all disciplines, from sales to tech to marketing and so on. So it's a great enabler, and I'm quite excited for the future, as I'm sure you both are.
100%. Well, I think it's been an amazing chat. Thank you so much for talking, Ryan. It's been.
I wish you all the best as well with your startup, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
Very, very interesting talk. Thank you.
And other than that, thank you very much to South Bay Yacht Charters for letting us, do the podcast on this yacht. If you're in Marbella and you want to hire a yacht, then this is a place to go to.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.